I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Today we are looking at the IWC Aquatimer Chronograph, reference 376711, 44 millimeters in stainless steel. You can see this Aquatimer Chronograph on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now, in 2006, IWC resurrected its original dive watch, the Aquatimer, and the chronograph variant, which you see here, features a broad array of practical diving features and everyday complications that are sure to please IWC purists because this watch has kind of a no-nonsense, back-to-basics tool watch vibe about it. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the watch has a surprisingly accommodating stance. And I say surprisingly because anytime I see a 44 millimeter watch with conforming end piece straps, I often expect virtual flare. That is, a strap that wants to splay out, that doesn't quite accommodate the curve of my smaller wrist. I don't get that here, and I think a major reason for that is that the lugs are just so darn short. Now, from lug to lug, it is 51 millimeters, but the lugs themselves are set, are actually inset with the strap. So the strap is buried inside the span of the lugs, and almost immediately at the terminus of the lugs, it flexes downward, thrusts downward, wrapping around the wrist and making this actually a very agreeable companion for a smaller wrist like mine. Now the watch actually has a remarkably thin stance on the wrist. 15 millimeters for a timepiece this big is not that great, but because the bezel does sort of cantilever outward, it has a little bit of an overhang. As you can see, it's not going to be the easiest watch to wear under a cuff. Now there are thick 15s and there are thin 15s. This one feels like a thin 15, but for the sake of a sleeve, it probably wears like a thick one. Now I also want to call out the outstanding quality of the strap, and that's something that's easily overlooked because a strap, honestly, usually plays second fiddle to the case, to the watch, to the movement. But here IWC uses a wonderful sort of honeycomb pattern underneath the strap to relieve hot spots, to release moisture, grit, sweat, anything that might build up underneath the strap during hot weather, or, can you imagine, when using this dive watch for its intended purpose. Now, the pin buckle is a nice piece, workmanlike, not overly elaborate, but it gets the job done, and it leaves the focal point solely at the watch head, the dial, and the bezel. And these are real highlights. First and foremost, because the bezel has a wonderful knurled grip to it that makes it easy to grip and a pleasure to use. It has nice, sharply demarcated detents that you can feel and you can hear. A bad bezel can ruin a dive watch if it feels ropey, if it has play, if it feels insufficiently distinct between detents. That can be a real disappointment. IWC does not disappoint. And because this is one of the rare dive bezels that is sapphire-capped, just as scratch-resistant as the crystal over the dial, it has the added benefit of protecting the lume that's inset within the dial and capped underneath the crystal. So I'm going to do a lume shot here and give you a sense of just how elaborately calibrated and lumed this watch can be in low light. IWC really went above and beyond. So let me get this one charged up and bring it right back. Into the abyss with IWC. As you can see, not only is the entire watch loomed, that means the hands, the hour indices, the second hand, the individual Arabic numeral calibrations of the dive bezel, but it also features a two-tone segment with a light green LumiNova contrasting with the blue of the rest to time the critical first 15 minutes of a dive. Now, this is a nice touch that sets the watch apart visually and artistically. This is a carefully thought out diving instrument, and as I said earlier, it is kind of a back-to-basics watch that does all of the critical tasks a pure tool watch, a backup dive timer, which is what a mechanical watch is today, must do for a diver. The watch succeeds on that front, but it also succeeds on an artistic front by just looking darned cool. Back to the light. Okay, so looking at this watch, you can see that it has a rich combination of whites, blues, and a little bit of a splash of color on the constant seconds. What I can also tell you is that the dial has a very subtle texture to it. In between the sub-registers, inboard of the hour track and the minute track, it does have a little bit of almost an eggshell grain that adds visual interest and richness. Now, the day-date complication is about as practical as you'll find on any wristwatch. Automatic power, abundant water resistance, that's 300 meters, 1,000 feet, a day-date complication, and of course a chronograph. So we can start that up. And you've pretty much got the kings of everyday complications. Water resistance not being so much a complication as a refinement, but the chronograph and the day date certainly are features that you can use daily. And with automatic winding and a 44-hour power reserve courtesy of the IWC caliber 79320, this is an ever-ready daily companion that has the dark and light two-tone combination, that is, the dark dial, the dark strap, and the white metal combination, to wear well with just about anything. If you can get by the fact that the bezel is probably going to hook on the tightest of cuffs, but anyway, isn't that why you have a Portofino? This is a watch that could go just about anywhere with you and look great doing it. You can see the case back, workmanlike, screwed down, actually flanks one of the most interesting features of the watch. So while there's not much to see on the case back, there is a good deal to see on the back of the watch, because it features IWC's 2006 to present Aquatimer quick release lugs, licensed from Cartier. This is the patent originally applied to the Cartier Roadster. It's the exact same mechanism, licensed by IWC. What it actually allows you to do is replace the strap with a textile, a strap, or a bracelet, basically in the blink of an eye. If you're good, you can get it done in 10 seconds. You can see this versatile, fun, fashionable, and quite honestly, practical IWC Aquatimer Chronograph on our website, whatyouvant.com.